Hi everyone. Today we have the weekly discussion about One Piece chapter 973, or the weekly analysis of One Piece 973 once the viz comes out. And today it may be a bit of a different spin because after making my rounds throughout the community after the chapter came out with the scans on Friday, I actually loved the chapter. I really did enjoy the chapter. These new moments with Oden and his family really amplified it for me. So quickly, I'm going to talk about some things that happened in the chapter, then give you guys my assessment of the community and just the feedback that other people have given me about the chapter, because it's drastically different from how I initially viewed it. I guess we can start with the Oden stuff. Again, that was great. It filled out the story for me. In a way, it seemed like Oden was preparing his family for him to be gone. But I think after the reread, the more interesting thing is the conversation with him and Toki. Kind of gives me some more about Toki's personality, because I don't know if you guys remember, back then Toki, she was going to leave Oden and said she would not be with him anymore if he decided to stay in Wano because of them. I think Toki did whatever Oden wanted because she was guilty of what she did, and the perception Oden had of her was a lot grander than what she actually was as a person. But we'll get to that. The major talking points from this chapter revolved around the traitor, Kiyoshiro, Kaido, and to a smaller extent, Toki. So first, let's start with the traitor. I mentioned before that I believe the traitor to be Raizo or Kanjuro. Oda could be misleading us, but Raizo is starting to raise a bunch of suspicions. I know people are almost confirming it, saying that Raizo telling Inarashi and Nekomamushi to knock it off is almost confirming that. I don't think so. I think that's a leap. I don't want to go there. But I will say, I'm not sure how I feel about this being the reason why they were arguing for so long. I remember when we first got introduced to them, they weren't even like up at the same time because they didn't like each other. We presumed it would be Oden or the person who they were serving that died, but I think it would have been better if they came together to figure out who the traitor was and how did this person infiltrate all the way to their the depths of their information, and work together to figure that out. They just separated and then went to Zou and was arguing until the Straw Hats and Momonosuke showed up. But the thing is, you can't rule out emotions, and when you're emotional, and of course because of Oden's death and how he went out, knowing you're not the traitor, you're going to make some irrational decisions, and I think that's what happened here with Inarashi and Nekomamushi. I've read both translations and I'm still trying to understand Kaido's reasoning for why he let Momonosuke go. There's a moment here in the chapter where Kaido says, "A dream someone else put in your mouth," but this is after Momonosuke says, "Father is a great warrior, and I will one day carry this nation on my shoulders." Kaido then says, "A dream someone else put in your mouth? I didn't realize you were so young." And then he starts crying. He throws him into the castle and said to let him perish in the flames of the castle. Now, initially my thought was maybe Kaido was thinking of Oden and his honor, or what's left of it, couldn't bring him to kill Momonosuke that way. And then he referenced Momonosuke's age. So is it because Momonosuke was that young, like he was a child, why Kaido couldn't do it by himself? But I would assume Kaido knew of Oden's family. So it was a weird thing. A lot of people didn't like it due to the fact that if Kaido had done this, it's the end of Momonosuke. He said it himself, and then he just lets him go, and then it falls into the shonen trope of I'm going to let someone else handle it, and they don't. So I don't know. I think this has given us some more layers to Kaido's character. It's funny how the people go back and forth every week about whether they like Kaido or not. I think he can be endearing depending on how you view it, but him letting Momo go, it could be more to it. Maybe once we find out more about Kaido, we can come to a different conclusion. But for right now, I think it's because Momo was that young. Maybe it reminded Kaido of, him being a parent. Maybe Kaido has some kids running around somewhere, and that scream and him being so young reminded him of something because his eyes were darkened as well. So Oda may be trying to tell us something through Kaido. Toki's speech, or Toki's entire thing to the people of Wano after they'd accepted their fate, because they realize, okay, now Oden is gone. It is now time for our divine punishment, which in a way you could say they brought it on themselves, but with the information they had, I think they reacted appropriately. The person that was supposed to be your savior didn't live up to the hype that you expected, so, you're disappointed and you reacted. Toki and Oden's conversation resonated a bit more here because Oden's perception of Toki was different from what she was actually about. Toki was running away from her destiny. Oden thought Toki left the past to search for the dawn, or search for the time the world would be turned upside down. So Toki, she got mad at him for praising her because deep down she knew the only reason why she left the past was to run away from her destiny. There's a quote about destiny that I came across the other day, and it said, "There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be." And that's the same with Toki. She ran away from the past, and then she ended up being exactly where she needed to be and where she meant to be. The Kiyoshiro stuff, again, great. I really enjoyed that. Kiyoshiro, I care about his character, or, you know, at least one of the scabbards a lot more now. I think from the jump, Denjiro was a scabbard that we liked his demeanor. Like, he seemed like he was serious, and then he was devoted. So him being a traitor didn't make sense to anybody. And now with everything that transpired, it's falling into place. I talked about the Orochi stuff yesterday, saying that he could be testing himself like Oden was. I understood what the story was trying to say with him being too cold and that he was scared, and that's why he couldn't warm himself up even in the scalding water. Yeah, that's the obvious thing. I was looking at it from a different perspective. So it's not that I didn't understand that. It was just a different perspective of looking at it. I think part of it also is because of his devil fruit, why he can withstand the scalding water. But of course, it was because he was scared of not finding the Kozuki samurai or the bodies of the samurai. But quickly to the other perspective of people and their perception of this chapter. Most people didn't like it. And I was shocked, honestly, because I thought it was a great chapter. But people's perspective, they were saying that this chapter felt out of place, like it wasn't needed. From just videos and commentary and comments in general, people were saying this chapter felt like an info dump and that Kyoshira's reveal could have been put in a better spot. I agree with the assessment that Kyoshira's reveal could have been better. I still really enjoyed it, but looking at it from the perspective of revealing this information later in the war before Kyoshira made a move, or when he made his move, it probably would have been more impactful. Like, if we didn't know anything that was going to happen with Kyoshira up until the war. Like, we thought Kyoshira was on Orochi's side, and then Kyoshira steps in front of Zoro, and then out of nowhere he slashes the person that's supposed to fight Zoro, or something of that nature. It would have been a much better shock because it would have come at a time where we expected a Zoro Kyoshira fight or something of that nature. So I understand the narrative purpose of the narrative placement of Kyoshira's reveal and how it could feel empty because of Oda trying to get out of the flashback. And okay, I'm trying to get out of the flashback, so let me just give you this reveal of Kyoshiro. I understand that. Again, for me, it doesn't take away from it, but I understand that perspective. Now, people are saying Toki, she seems even more useless because she was actually running away from the thing she was supposed to do. But I think in a way that's more poetic, so I don't agree with that necessarily. So it was an interesting thing where it was a chapter that I really enjoyed, and a lot of people, they had their qualms with the chapter, where it just didn't feel like the chapter was needed. And for me, I really enjoyed those extra moments with Oden and his family because it kind of added more to the journey for me in regards to Oden. So one last thing though, I remember that everyone was posting on Twitter about this was the anime episode. It actually spoiled who Kyoshiro was. And so a lot of people, off of what the anime episode showed, they kind of came up with the theory that more than likely Kyoshiro is Denjiro. Me personally, I had mentioned this before in the past about Kyoshiro being Denjiro, stuff like that. But also the anime episode, I thought it was crazy that they would do that. And now seeing that Kyoshiro is actually Denjiro, I'm like, what is the anime doing? Like, this is not a new thing though. Like, anime episodes, anime openings, they spoil things all the time. Like, personally, I try not to watch anime openings when I'm just getting into an anime because it spoils a lot and I do not like being spoiled at all. So that's not really a new thing. This, however, is an anime opening spoiling things not revealed in the source material. Think about this. The anime opening, which is behind the manga, spoiled something not in the source material as yet. We know that Oda and the editors, they correspond with the head of Toei and different people over there. But to spoil this in an opening, they dropped the ball. Like, they just dropped the ball heavily because, yeah, again, I liked the moment, but for some people, they felt like it ruined it for them. So I want us as One Piece fans as well to just be open to criticism. And just because someone is critiquing the story doesn't mean that they don't like One Piece. I feel like sometimes if somebody doesn't like a chapter or they don't like certain things about a chapter, they get attacked. And I feel like as One Piece fans, sometimes we can be a bit sensitive and we have to do a bit better, you know? So I think the criticisms from this chapter, even though I really enjoyed the chapter, I can understand it. And I feel like we should all be that way, where accepting critique is not a bad thing. I thought we were going to be leaving the flashback by this chapter, but you know, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised, so it didn't really matter. The chapter was fulfilling to me. But next chapter, I think we should be out of it and we should be moving on to different things. More than likely something outside of Wano. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. Even if it's within Wano, I think we might go to some Hiyori stuff because, you know, Hiyori was headed to the Shrine of Enma and Orochi, he had gotten wind of it. But now with knowing Kyoshiro, he's a part of it. I think Kyoshiro's storyline, it has gotten a bit more interesting because now we can speculate about what he's going to do to, you know, help the alliance without actually being a part of it or without them knowing who he is. Let me know what you guys thought about the chapter. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at bragody.ace. Shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Support the viz so you can read the official translations when it comes out on Sundays. But yeah, like the video and subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.